Okay, how many people had your partner stand up or get on top? Really? That few? I'm pretty sure there's more than that. Okay, of those of you that had your partner stand up or get on top in some fashion, how many of you were controlling both legs when it happened? Okay, so that's the answer to your incoming question, right? So remember, the parameters is I want to separate the legs, I want to keep control of both legs, and then kind of do whatever I'm going to do. All right, the next thing we're going to do, any other questions besides that, sorry? Okie dokie. Now let's start talking about finishing. So, we've separated our partner's legs in some fashion. Yes, we can fall to one side or the other. You don't have to sit up. Just relax. Yeah, I'm going to be talking for a minute. Okay, we've separated our partner's legs in some fashion, and you can fall to one side or the other depending on where the movement takes you. Like, we want you to be able to fall to either side and still make this work. We want you to be able to fall to one side. They're trying to get up. You can keep them from getting up. As I was just telling one of the folks over there, if your goal when you get here is like, I'm going to grab this dude's leg, then he may be able to get up. If your goal is, I'm going to keep him from standing up because I'm controlling both his legs, and then figure out how to leg lock him within that context, I'm going to be fine. So it's just, I loathe the term paradigm shift, but you know, if your paradigm is, I want this leg, you're going to be a leg lock or bust person, and you're going to have a lot of trouble finishing people with good leg lock defense. People with good leg lock defense, like, you get on their legs and they, like, when I say look at you funny, I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm like, I'll look at people like, what are you doing? Like, don't you know who I am? Like, you know, it's really, really hard to leg lock somebody who has good leg lock defense. They will just literally give you their legs. And yeah, so the fact that so many more people are working on this stuff means that just, like, every part of it has accelerated. If you were a good leg locker in 2016, you're basically way, way, way behind the curve right now, right? Which isn't true for other stuff. Like, if you were a good guard passer in 2016, you're probably still a pretty good guard passer. If you're a good butterfly guard, like, there are parts of the game that are evolving more slowly. The leg lock game is still in, like, very much its infancy in terms of the majority of the jiu-jitsu world working on it, right? Like, 5 to 7 years ago, there was like 3 teams that were working on leg locks at all, and there was like 2 tournaments where you could do them. Now, it's pretty much, to some degree, everybody, because IBJJF, even though it's only brown and black or whatever, but like, very few gyms just don't do leg locks at all anymore. Some of them are behind the curve, some of them are, but it's changed. So like, it's the Wild West now. We're still like in the infancy of the development of this stuff. So if I'm trying to just be this person, you know, literally mullet time. If I'm controlling both legs, that's a little bit better, because that's, yeah, it's a little bit better, but now, like, I'm controlling both legs, so okay, where do I go with it? So my preference, if I manage to separate my partner's legs, is to get my head down and access this lever, where I can still, throughout whatever else happens, have some influence on this leg. I can, if we fall down, try to find creative ways to still hold this leg, but ultimately, I'm going to have to go 2 hands on the end of the lever. So, and again, this isn't right or wrong, it's just degrees of risk and how much can you mitigate or control that risk. So, our, like, platonic ideal is I've separated my partner's legs, I'm going to jam my elbow inside as a wedge, I'm going to extend their leg, and I'm going to put my head on the mat. I don't need to fall to the side to do damage. I can simply get to the end of the lever and start bridging. And what you'll hopefully notice is that I'm not trying to, like, let's go on the side here. I'm not trying to get straight, like, you feel the direct pressure on, like, the front of your knee right now. So, there you go. Okay. What's the difference in the pressure here? Right. So I want extension and rotation, right? I'm trying to do that. I'm not trying to do this. This is where you will get the odd, like, freakishly strong hamstring curl person, where even if you get here, demonstrate your freakishly strong hamstring strength, you literally, you'll be here like, man, this is difficult. Like, I've got you pretty beat, but, like, are you in danger? Is your knee even locked out? No. as soon as I rotated, right? So I'm not trying to go my hip thrust, which is incredibly powerful, his hamstring curl. There's one thing you know is when a guy advertises his sexual prowess, he's full of shit. So, incredibly powerful, but his hamstring curl against a lateral pressure, where then I hip in, now I'm attacking the ligaments rather than your hamstring. So, that's the one technique I'm going to teach you. Let's just spend about 5 minutes on that and make sure you can do it. Yes, sir.
Do you hit a certain point? Because I was getting rolled earlier and you came over and did that.
Yeah.
Do you hit a certain point where you're like, yeah, go ahead, roll me over?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'll get to you in a second. This is one of those if you know for sure that when you're going on bottom, you have a way of getting back on top, or you know for sure you're going to break them, go ahead and go on bottom. I tell you, I often talk about mounted triangles like this. If I mounted triangle you, why would I go on bottom? I'd rather just stay on until I'll learn how to finish. People find mounted triangles harder to finish than triangles from the back because there's just more hip adjustments that you can easily make when you're on your back because your hips are in the air. Whereas when you're on top, your hips are kind of stuck, so people actually struggle to make the right hip adjustments. But just learn how to do them, and then you can stay on top. So if you're going to go on bottom from a mounted triangle, man, you better make damn sure that you're going to finish them, or that you can definitely get back on top. Right? So does that kind of make sense? So yes, I will go on so I'm I'm not quite getting this, but I know that I can control this, or I know that when I make the adjustment with my hips, that's going to create that lateral pressure. I'm good to go. It's about risk appetite and being able to control it. Yes?
How do you apply that lateral pressure if you fall into a side?
Okay, so when I get here and we fall to a side, right? Can you build up with him?
I can try myself. I might keep coming up.
Right, so you see where the lateral pressure came in? So when he started to lift, the lateral pressure comes on. Go back to your back. You notice there's no lateral pressure. Right? So at this point, I'm not saying you must finish with lateral pressure, but at this point, can you do your hamstring curl thing? No. Right, so now I don't care. Right? It's not you don't have to break people's legs sideways. You can break them straight on. It's okay. It's all right. So the idea of the lateral pressure, it's a tool for a job. If you don't need it, you don't need it. Once we're here, this is great. I've got really strong pinning pressure in his hip. I've got a strong wedge at the knee, and a little bit of direct pressure is more than enough. And if I have to unwind it, I can start to create the lateral pressure now from the rotation of the heel, right? So, but try it. See how you do with just that as a technique, and then we're just going to work backwards from problem solving it and using the toe hold and creating different scenarios. Any questions? Let's get to it, guys.
Yeah,